Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology grounded in love, a love which calls us to see the holy in every being and to take compassionate action in the world. In this space, we gather with open minds, open hearts, and open hands to practice acceptance, forgiveness, and growth, welcoming people of all nations, all creeds, all ages, all genders, all cultures, and all kinds of love. Whether you are here every week, or you came today for the first time, or you stop in every once in a while, we celebrate all of who you are and all you are becoming. You are welcome here.
I'm Rebecca Parkhill, this morning's worship coordinator. Reverend Parisa is away on a study retreat and will be back next Sunday. We are delighted to welcome the Reverend Dr. Roger Jones to our pulpit this morning. Reverend Roger comes to us from the UU Society of Sacramento, California, where he serves as co-lead minister. Reverend Roger has served in many leadership roles within Unitarian Universalism and beyond, and has been a collegial resource and support to Reverend Parisa for decades. Welcome, Reverend Dr. Roger. Reverend Roger and I are joined by Director of Music Mark David Buckles and Youngju Young, and the Arlington Street Choir in leading worship today. We couldn't do this without our tech team, greeters, ushers, worship team, and all other hosts. Thank you, friends. A special welcome this morning to Susan Levan, who met her husband, Spencer Levan, of blessed memory, when he was the intern minister here at Arlington Street in 1961. Welcome back, Susan. We're so glad to have you here with us. If you're new to Arlington Street, welcome. We're glad you're here this morning, and we'd love to stay connected. I hope you'll visit our website at thearlingtonstreet.org and sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. And if you're in the sanctuary, you can fill out a pew card and put it in the basket during the offering time to let us know, and we'll be in touch with you. And on the last pages of the order of service, you'll find information on upcoming Arlington Street events. There's a lot going on, both in person and on Zoom, and we'd love to see you this week. Your transition team and Prudential Committee warmly invite you to Reimagining Who We Are and Where We're Going, a congregational retreat. Our in-person retreat will take place Saturday, October 4th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Emmanuel Church, and our Zoom retreat will take place on Saturday, October 18th. These retreats will offer a time for renewal, reflection, and reconnection as we explore our vision for the future of Arlington Street Church. Guided by our shared values, we'll deepen our community bonds and imagine the path ahead for our spiritual community together. You can sign up for either retreat via the link in the newsletter, and we look forward to seeing you there. And Queen Cheryl has a special announcement. Would you like to come up?
I love being on stage. Good morning, good morning, good morning. After a long summer, it feels really good to don my tiara again and get back to the work. Reverend Parisa was either nice enough or brave enough to let me come up here and give me a few minutes of announcement time. Before I get to the main topic, I'd like to have a word with our beloved elders. Last year, we began the church year with a memorial service for Don Richter. This year, we begin the church year with a memorial service for George Whitehouse. This has got to stop. Starting right now, as your queen, I order you to live to be at least 100. Enough is enough. We love you, we cherish you, and we want to keep you. And now, On a more serious note, here's the real reason I'm standing up here. George's memorial is next Sunday, September 21st, and I need help. Right now, I need 3 people to set up, 4 on Saturday for food preparation, and 3 to clean up afterward. That's 12 people. Right now, I've got 4. It's the point of desperation. Plain and simple, I need your help. After the service, I'll be at the Great Doors, then into chapel, so we can talk and get you scheduled to volunteer. If you're a Zoomer, a link to my email is in the announcements online. Please reach out, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. I'm thanking you all in advance for your service, and this is allowing you to give one last opportunity to honor the memory of our beloved George Whitehouse. So I'll talk to you after the service, and thank you.
Thank you, Queen Cheryl. If you came this morning with a joy or concern on your heart, you're invited to light a candle at home and share in the chat, or come up and light a silent candle at the table to the right of the Gleason podium at any time during the service. I hope all of you in the in-person congregation will plan to join us in the Honeywell Chapel right through the leather door up front after the service for conversation. Those of you on Zoom are invited to stay on for remote fellowship as well. And now Rich is going to turn the camera on the in-person congregation. Art will also do it. As we wave and smile at each other, as well as at our friends in the Zoom room. And you all in the Zoom room can wave and smile back. Hello, friends. Let's all engage in that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends spiritual and physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart. Whether you've been coming here for years or today is your first time, welcome home.
We begin our services in Unitarian Universalist congregations around this country, around this continent, and in many places around the world with the lighting of a flaming chalice, which is the symbol of our open faith. And the words for today's chalice lighting come from the Hebrew Scriptures book of Deuteronomy, words adapted by the late Reverend Peter Rabel. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. Thus we are ever bound in community. May it always be so.
Our opening hymn is number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New. The words can be found in the order of service, in the chat, and in the gray hymnal. Let's rise now in body, rise in spirit, and sing together hymn number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New. It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Whether together or apart, let us stay very close. Let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
A candle of sorrow from Fran Peterson. Please keep my family in your heart as we navigate this first anniversary without my Uncle Billy. My uncle was my favorite man on the planet and the one consistent human in my life. He never forgot my birthday, always attended parties, and held court like the mayor. He was very kind and had the worst dad jokes ever. I miss my uncle every day, but I find comfort in knowing he has returned to his mother's and his siblings, holding court as the baby of the family. A candle of sorrow from Jairo Gemez. My heart broke when I read the recent Supreme Court decision, which solidifies profiling as common ICE practice. More ICE raids have been happening in Boston. Please protect your neighbors and speak out for justice against state-sanctioned violence. No one is a criminal for speaking another language or living in a community. A candle of sorrow from Harriet Hurry. On August 10th, in Varanasi, India, the dear wife of my classical Indian vocal teacher and my Indian mother, Bobby, departed from this world. Bobby is a kinship name for one's elder brother's wife. May all of Bobby's children and grandchildren and Bobby's music students continue to feel the enduring wisdom and compassion she so generously gave to each one of us. Bobby, presente. And a final candle of sorrow from Reverend Ali, for pain impossible to summarize or fully capture in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. I grieve for the violence and suffering. It also cuts into my soul to see someone who with such hatred for me and our LGBTQ+ people treated by some as a hero. I don't want anyone to be harmed, and I don't want harm to my community to be celebrated. This is a candle for us as we juggle many truths in the midst of much pain and fear. May we one day rise from the ashes of the binary to create a society where there is no violence, where we use our words to set and uphold standards of justice for all, and where love is always at the center.
Some of us come here today in joy, and we share your joy.
A candle of joy from the Arlington Street community in celebration of 2 new babies born this summer. Julia Simon and her husband Toby welcomed baby Isaac in July, and Sarah Ballinger and Jeff Lambert welcomed baby Margaret in late July. Many blessings on these new parents as they get to know their little ones. We can't wait to meet you, Isaac and Margaret. A candle of gratitude from Harriet Hurry for the kind and generous actions of so many toward our immigrant neighbors, friends, and family members over the long hot summer. And a final candle of celebration for Zoe Arcuri, who finished her cancer treatment ahead of schedule this week. Congratulations, Zoe.
The sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, for all nations, and for all beings. Amen.
Please join in saying the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Mark David Buckles, Director of Music. We're going to sing another hymn together. This one is Return Again by Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. And it's a 2-part kind of partner song. If you don't know it, that we'll teach the 2 different melodies, and then you can sing either melody, they interlock, or, you know, if the Spirit moves, make up your own 3rd melody. So can you give us the key, Hyung-Ju? So first part goes like this. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Everybody try. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Great, and the second part that goes like this. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Together. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Let's have a stand as we're willing and able. And I invite us as we sing through this, we're such a heady people, we Unitarian Universalists, to try to follow the advice of these words and really return to the core of your thoughts, your soul, your body, whatever works. Use this song as a meditation. We'll start together with Return Again. 1, 2, 3. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to what? Return to who you are. Return to what? To what you are. Return to where? To where you are. Born and reborn again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where? To where you are. Born and reborn. Put the songs together. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Reborn again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to the home you are. Born and reborn again. Return to who you are. Return again. Return to the home you are. Born and reborn. Return again. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. One more time. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul.
Good morning. Rebecca and I have a story to share with you, a story for all ages by Amy Krauss Lichtenheld, and I think I've got the authors wrong, but it's already started, so go right ahead.
Hey, look, a duck.
That's not a duck, that's a rabbit.
Are you kidding me? It's totally a duck.
It's for sure a rabbit.
See, there's his bill.
What are you talking about? Those are ears, silly.
It's a duck, and he's about to eat a piece of bread.
It's a rabbit and he's about to eat a carrot.
Wait, listen. Did you hear that? Quack. I heard duck sounds.
That's funny, I distinctly heard rabbit sounds.
Now the duck is wading through the swamp.
No, the rabbit is hiding in the grass.
See, it's flying.
Flying? It's hopping.
Look, the duck is so hot, he's getting a drink.
The rabbit is so hot, he is cooling off his ears.
Here, look at the duck through my binoculars.
Sorry, still a rabbit.
Here, ducky ducky.
Here, you cute little rabbit.
Oh, great, you scared him away.
I did not scare him away. You scared him away.
You know, maybe you were right.
Thing is, now I'm actually thinking it was a duck.
Well, anyway, what do you want to do now?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
Hey, look, an anteater.
That's no anteater, that's a brachiosaurus.
The end.
Thank you. Good morning again, and thank you for your hospitality. It's great to be here. We just heard excerpts from the second movement of Sergei Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto. Back home in Sacramento, our church pianist told me a story about Rachmaninoff. She said that he was one of the great pianist composers of the world, admired both for his brilliant playing and his works of beauty. After the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, he fled to the United States. His first concert was in Providence, Rhode Island. He settled in Manhattan with his family and later in life relocated to Beverly Hills, California. He was considered one of the most successful performing musicians of his time. Yet his fame and his success would never suggest the struggle and insecurity that he experienced throughout his life. In particular, he was forever haunted by the failure of his first symphony in 1887. At its premiere in St. Petersburg, an under-rehearsed orchestra with a probably inebriated conductor made it a fiasco. One critic compared it with the biblical 10 plagues of Egypt. He said that symphony was fit only for a music conservatory in hell. With his dreams crushed, Rachmaninoff plunged into a severe depression. For the next 3 years, he wrote almost nothing. Eventually, with the support of a psychiatrist, he could return to work. He dedicated the second piano concerto, which we just heard part of, to his doctor, Nikolai Dahl, who had helped him to climb out of despair and to restore his confidence. And what was the fate of that infamous First Symphony? Rachmaninoff locked the manuscript away in a desk. He made no attempt to put together the orchestral parts for it before leaving St. Petersburg in haste. It was only after the composer's death in 1944 when the instrumental parts for it were discovered by accident in the archives of the Leningrad Conservatory of Music. The second performance of the piece was considered a success. It took place at the famed Moscow Conservatory in 1945. The American premiere took place in 1948 with Eugene Ormandy conducting the Philadelphia Orchestra. Rachmaninoff's reputation as a composer rose after his death. That symphony became part of the standard repertoire of great orchestras. From different times and places, these are some of the responses of listeners who were stunned by this work. One said it was one of the best romantic symphonies of all time. Another person said, I lived so long without being familiar with it. Peace to all. And if you meet rejection at first, it could mean that you are a power waiting to be recognized. I'm so glad to have heard that story. Stories are powerful aspects of human life. Stories can enrich us, challenge us, and connect us. Yet any of us can get hooked on stories that lead us away from connection. In the story Duck Rabbit, which Rebecca and I told to you, each of the characters had a story stuck in their head about what they saw. They were so convinced that they knew what they were looking at that they couldn't even consider another perspective, could not even imagine that there might be a larger story which could include both of them. They got so upset with each other that the story was no longer about the mystery to be explored. The story was about their conflict. Of course, there was a brief chance of a new story. They were going to ask the creature, what do you call yourself? But it was too late. They had scared it off. What's your story? When people meet, sometimes one will ask the other person, so what's your story? In the dominant culture, there are acceptable stock answers. Your age, background, place of origin, family, field of work. And to be honest, if you don't have a sense that your listener will receive your story with care, you might be safe with stock answers. But as listeners and as speakers, we must remember that every life can be told from various angles. We contain many stories in us. Every story may have something in it that's true, but every story may not be helpful to keep on telling over and over. Some stories get in our way. We can get hooked on stories that keep us from accepting ourselves for who we are, or keep us from feeling grateful for our lives. They can sap our sense of purpose and our worth. Today, let's look at some good ideas for telling new stories. Diane Millis is a professor and a spiritual director in Minnesota. She's the author of a book entitled Recreating a Life. By this title, Millis doesn't mean creating a life that's different from the one you have. She's talking about the idea of taking the time to think about your life using a variety of perspectives. For example, Millis recommends that we imagine our stories in the third person. Rather than thinking, I did this or that happened to me, we should think about ourselves as the main character in a narrative. Our narrator's perspective should be a perspective of compassion. The story can bear witness to pain experienced by the main character, but it can also bear witness to the courage, fortitude, and survival of that main character. The narrator could highlight the moments of goodness, the parts of the story that enrich life. Millis recommends also that we start the story in the way that we would start a fairy tale, once upon a time. She urges us to sit down and write it out. Take only 15 minutes, she says. It doesn't have to be long, just a page or two. Of course, like a fairy tale, our story might have dangers and hardships in it, but it might also contain unpredictable journeys, twists and turns. Consider, when did a detour, when did upset plans bring this person to a surprising place in their life? Tell the parts of the story that show your lead character's endurance and ingenuity. Describe the gestures of kindness that this person received and the kindness that they gave to others. Diane Millis advises, you are the story you tell yourself, so make sure you tell yourself a good story. Once upon a time, when Diane Millis was a little girl in Minnesota, she thought she had a perfect life, and she tried very hard to keep it that way. Yet her parents divorced, and she and her mother moved away from Minnesota to Arizona. She left behind her family, her school, and her sense of trying to hold everything together. Her world was broken apart. In early adulthood, she used to wonder, what if that little girl's parents had not split up and she had not moved away? How much better could her life be if that hadn't happened? Now, however, many years later, she can admire that little girl's endurance and her strength. She gives thanks for the people she met along the way, and she can identify the talents which she developed in the midst of it all. For example, her ordeals taught her the practice of compassionate listening, and she's able to bring this practice to her life now as a mother, wife, teacher, and listening professional, a spiritual director. She says, we must hold our stories lightly, not tightly. This is how we can receive the stories of others as well, lightly, not tightly. Too often the stories we tell are saturated with problems. It's tempting to feel connected with other people by telling sad stories, to bond over lamenting or complaining or grumbling. Yet stories like that can also be draining. The problem-saturated story is not the only story. It's one of many that we could tell. Perhaps it would connect us even more if we included some shining moments in our stories. Assuming that we're not trying to one-up one another or we're not telling a lie, we can share the moments in our stories that shine for us. Millis doesn't say that we should ignore pain or sweep away problems. Only allow the shining moments to be seen. 28 years ago, I began in ministry. I began serving a congregation in Sunnyvale, California. And soon after starting there, I came here to Boston to attend a training for a group of new ministers that was hosted at the Unitarian Universalist Association headquarters. Our trainer was the Reverend Dr. Larry Piers. Some of you may know Larry. He has been a wonderful mentor and consultant. On our first day of the training, Larry said to us, I know that you can outdo each other with a problem-saturated story about your congregation, so I'm not going to ask for that. Instead, I'm going to ask you to think of 3 shining moments from the life of your congregation. He told us to take some time in silence to think. And then he had us go around in a circle 3 times, each person offering one shining moment, and then we would go around and offer a second and then a third. And after we had done all this, told our stories to the group, we felt hopeful and confident about our work. As we heard shining moments told by others, we felt happy. We gave thanks for one another's ministry. This brought us together, hearing and telling these shining moments. It left us in a better mood than a problem-saturated story could have done. You are the story you tell yourself, so make sure you tell yourself a good story. Looking at the boy, who is the main character of my own life, I could tell a sad story, or several of them, and I have on a number of occasions. But I don't ever recall having told my story in the third person. And this time around, I can add some shining moments to it. So here goes. Once upon a time, in a dysfunctional, distracted family, this boy didn't feel welcome. You could say his days were saturated with loneliness. But on many evenings, he learned to play card games at the nearby home at his mother's elderly aunt. And he spent whole days at the house of his cousins and his Uncle Roger and Aunt Mary. He enjoyed many home-cooked meals there, trying out some dishes he had never heard of before. His uncle had served as a cook in the Navy on a ship in the Second World War. When his uncle recalled the task of making a turkey dinner for Thanksgiving for hundreds of men out at sea, describing it in detail, his uncle's eyes twinkled. In school, this boy felt lonely and shy, very self-conscious. Yet, once in high school, he became a high school newspaper reporter and then an editor. And being a newspaper reporter made it easier for him to get other kids to talk, which relieved his awkwardness. It made teachers notice his work and compliment him sometimes, and he liked that. He was a people pleaser, and he rarely wanted to make waves, so he often held himself back in many situations. However, armed with a reporter's notepad and a pen, and fired up with knowledge of his First Amendment right to the freedom of the press, he sat in the principal's office grilling the man with questions about school policies. Another time, this kid argued with a tall, white, male history teacher who didn't like an editorial opinion he'd written and published in the newspaper. But he stood his ground. Back then, the boy didn't know that he was armed not only with the First Amendment rights of freedom of the press, but armed also with privilege as a male and as a white person that made it easier for him to get away with being so bold with authority figures. But if he had known about this privilege, he might have written or spoken about that also. In any case, he can do so now. This boy dreaded physical education class in school, feeling self-conscious and inadequate. So many dropped baseballs in the outfield, so many basketballs missing the basket, and he never understood football. Yet in high school physical education class, he learned how to swim laps. He was never a competitor at swimming, but using that skill has given him exercise and good health for decades, and he still enjoys it. So that's me in the third person. Once I started writing this, I remembered other shining moments from my story. It made me feel better. Not only do I have more compassion for the kid who's the main character of that story, I like him better than he liked himself. We must hold our stories lightly, not tightly. Except for one kind of story, and that's our phantom stories. We can let go of them altogether. Phantom stories haunt us with lives that we didn't live. They include asking the what-if questions and lamenting the if-onlys of our lives. Sometimes I listen to phantom stories. If only I had stayed in that relationship or the other one. If only I'd gone to law school or medical school. What if I'd majored in computer science? Phantom stories are so powerful as to seem real and realistic, but they're not real. They get in the way of appreciating the life that we have. Instead of telling a phantom story, Let's consider the story that we want to create for the days ahead of us, the story that we're creating right now. And let us remember that every story is incomplete and unfinished. As I mentioned earlier, Sergei Rachmaninoff's First Symphony was rejected by critics when it premiered, in part because the orchestra played it badly and in part because it was bold and unfamiliar. The story of rejection and failure haunted him for years, and he left that composition locked away for the rest of his life. However, with compassion and guidance from his doctor, support from a listening professional, from a caring person, Rachmaninoff kept on composing. And fortunately, that bold First Symphony was discovered some years later. It was published and played, and it continues to enrich the world. Every story is incomplete and unfinished, even after we're gone. We don't have to be a composer whose early work was hidden away for this to be true. There's always more to be heard, always more to understand. Let us imagine that a larger story remains always to be unveiled and to be appreciated. Let us consider our own stories and write them and tell them with as much compassion as we can. And let us hold the tough moments with love and celebrate the moments that shine. Doing this will help us to bear witness to others so they can tell their stories. It will help us to receive their stories with care. Stories enrich us, connect us, and challenge us. They are gifts we share. May we be grateful for these gifts in all the days to come. So may it be. Blessed be, and amen.
Love
Thank you so much. Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. It's up to us. Generosity is a key spiritual practice here, and it shows. Thank you for your support and commitment to our staff, our building, and our beloved spiritual community. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. Boston Interfaith Climate Allies, BICA, is a grassroots collective of congregations originating from central Boston. You can see the full list in your order of service. Arlington Street Church's Climate Crisis Committee, climate@ascboston.org, is part of BICA, and they are organizing the local participation in the Sun Way Pilgrimage, part of the International Sun Day Action on September 21st, 2025, that celebrates solar and wind power and the movement to free our world of fossil fuels. As a participating congregation, our gifts support local efforts for interfaith climate justice work. This morning, I wanted to share a piece on the topic of hospitality, which is our September worship theme. And this is called The Guest House by Sufi poet Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes from an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Please take a moment now to join me in giving to sustain our beloved Arlington Street and Boston Interfaith Climate Allies. You can give online at ascboston.org or find instructions in the order of service for giving via QR code, Venmo, or text message. And you can also mail a check to the church or use the envelopes in the pews, which can be given to the ushers as they come through momentarily with collection plates. Thank you for your generosity.
Expect the worst, I'm staying. maybe it's fine not to know. If I die, did I waste all this time being skeptical? Why am I putting my brain on a pedestal? Don't wanna live for the worst case scenario. Positive mantra, put it into action. Asking myself, what's the worst that can happen? Once in a while, maybe I should try manifesting something good. And even if it doesn't pan out like I thought it would, I think it do me good. I think it do me good. I think it do me good. I think it do me good.
Thank you so much. Our final hymn is number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. The words can be found in the order of service, in the chat, and in the gray hymnal. Let's rise now in body, rise in spirit, and sing together 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
For our benediction, I invite you to reach out to us as we reach out to you. And if you're at home, reach out to us because we're reaching back to you. Reach out to everyone around here, to our whole world beyond these walls. May you depart in peace and be led forth in joy. For all who see God, may God go with you. For those who embrace life, may life return your affection. And for all who seek a right path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step, one day at a time. Blessed be. Amen.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine.
We are located at the corner of Arlington and Boylston Streets, across from the Public Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.